This is Doug, and welcome to the Practicing Accountant podcast. We're happy you're here. Today, our conversation is going to be about building a better business model and creating intentionality within an accounting firm. We hope you enjoy this episode. Have you ever had a car pull up outside your house and just start filming?
No, I live in the country, so that would be pretty aggressive here.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was kind of aggressive here in a little suburban neighborhood. This black SUV just pulled up outside the house like an hour ago, and a woman rolled down the window and got her phone out, and she was talking to someone on the phone while she was just pointing the camera at our house, and she sat there for like 30 seconds, and I can see the front yard from here, and so I started to get up to go, like knock on the window or wave or something, and she drove off. But it's just an odd thing.
Oh, interesting. Well,
like
I don't know.
Just strange, right?
Maybe did you buy the house recently? Maybe they're looking for comparables.
Had it for 13 years.
Oh.
My wife thought it was just because of our wonderful paint. They wanted to get a picture of our paint job on the house, which I guess I'll take that. I don't know.
Hopefully it's not the feds or something.
No, right? Exactly. Ready to drop a lien on us or something. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not.
Hopefully. Good deal. What do you got for us today?
Well, I think the topic in question is a better mousetrap, which I think what I'm really alluding to is a better business model for accounting firms. And there's been a lot of talk lately, and I don't know if folks watching this have seen some of that talk. There's been a lot of conversation around the business model for CPA firms. And it doesn't necessarily matter if you're huge or medium-sized or small. There tends to be some pretty close similarities in how the business model is currently functioning or has in the past functioned for accounting firms. But it got me to thinking, like how many CPAs out there are actually intentional about their business model? Like how many of them could actually define what their business model is? Like if you locked them in a room and said, all right, sit down. We're going to leave you alone for 60 minutes, and we want you in that time to write out a blueprint or words or charts or graphs or anything you'd like to describe your business model. What do you think you'd get if you asked that question of a firm owner?
I think most would answer with their pricing model. That they would say billable hour, because that's the hot topic right now. I don't know that you would get much as far as a thought out service model. For most people, it's a pretty default thing still. Follows the traditional news model, I guess.
Well, I think you'd probably hear something like get clients, do work.
Yeah.
Right? And hire people when you have too much work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, or find resources to do the work or something like that. Like the model is loose. And when I started this business as a coach, I wrote like an 83-page business model plan. And did I need to do that? No, I didn't. Wow. Did it help me kind of understand what it is I was trying to do and create? Yes. Yeah. Have I used it a lot since? No, not really. But the point is that it's still pretty similar today as to what I designed it to be.
Sure.
I lean very heavily on client referrals. I focus my attention very much on number crunchers of all variety, whether it's a partner in public accounting or a firm owner or a CFO or whatever it might be. And I do things that get their attention and hopefully, right, good things that get their attention and find clients. And then I also got this phase of my business model where I increase fees occasionally to make sure that I'm keeping up with the times, but also more importantly, I'm leaning to an experience for me and my business where I am doing more money with less clients. And I think, even last week, I quoted a client for some work, and a number came out of my mouth that I was a little surprised to hear, but it felt good still, right? I said it out loud, and I was like, "Holy shit! Did you just say that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." Well, let's see what happens. And I still haven't confirmed whether that's a client yet or not. But anyway, my point is like, where's the intentionality around the business model for the firms? But it starts with like, how do we currently do business? Like what does it look like today? Like, forget like trying to create a new business model for public accounting for a second. Just how does the current business model for a CPA firm work? There's going to be some nuances. There's going to be some, well, we do it this way and someone else does it a different way. But I think in order to build a better mousetrap, I think it starts with understanding how the mousetrap currently works.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would challenge, anyone watching this, over these coming holidays when they're not taking CPE or spending time with family, to sit down with a piece of paper and to map out what their existing business model is. And if it's very reactionary, like I described, meaning clients come in, we grab them, we do the work, and then we wait for the next one or the next season, that hamster wheel kind of thing that you and I talk about a lot. Yeah. But start with just a clear understanding of, let me back up. I have to read you something. This is how this came to me, just this better mousetrap conversation today. I received an email from a client. I'm going to read it almost verbatim. But this client is currently in the process of firing clients to make room for better ones. Mm-hmm. And also to create capacity so that they can, bring in higher paying clients, spend more time working on the business, whatever he chooses to do. And I'll read this without, losing any confidentiality.
Sure.
Hey, Doug, I wanted to share a message from one of the clients we disengaged with. Do you think we made the right decision? Here's the message from the client that was disengaged. You truly are a POS. You get paid, then make some BS excuse. F you blank.
Wow.
I hope you rot in hell and karma will come for you and your family.
Holy shit.
POS exclamation point times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 exclamation. Actually, in this entire message that I just read to you, there's probably 25 exclamation points.
Probably in all caps too.
Certain parts, not the whole thing. So they left some things to be de-emphasized and other things to be emphasized, which, I mean, let me read that one more time. You truly are a POS. You get paid, then make some BS excuse. F you blank. I hope you rot in hell and karma will come for you and your family.
That's wild.
POS.
That is wild. Would in any other industry, if a business owner decided to stop working, let's say a landscaper said, I can't work with you anymore. Would anybody email their landscaper and say something like that? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think there's a funny relationship with accountants and clients, where the clients think we owe them something. This is way off topic, but it's I've received emails like that for firing clients.
Have you?
Not that aggressive, but
this is aggressive.
Yeah, not nearly as but
vicious. I mean,
pretty
him and his family.
Yeah, that's not good. Maybe that's the guy that was out taking pictures because you're
I didn't do it. Oh wait, maybe I helped do it.
You helped do it.
But, so I read that and I was like, I mean, the first instinct is like, well, thank God they're not a client anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, what a horrible client to have, and you actually had to work with that individual, and like, were they that shallow that they portrayed that they appreciated the service? And well, thank goodness they're gone, right?
Hang on.
But then I went, wait a minute. So yeah, it's great they got rid of it, but how did they get here in the first place? Right?
Yeah.
Someone who is able to kind of flip the switch like that, how'd they become a client in the first place? Which then took me to one more step, which is say, what kind of business model brings in that kind of client? Right?
Unintentional one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, an unintentional one or the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
Either way. I'm sorry, I interrupted you there a minute ago. What were you going to say?
Did your client like that sense that he was asking if he made the right move by firing this client, was that tongue in cheek? Did
Yes,
he
yes,
never
that was sarcasm. That was
okay.
sarcasm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So absolutely very, very heavy on the sarcasm dial.
Okay,
But it
good.
got me thinking, and why we're here talking about this today is, what kind of clients are business models meant to attract or bring in? And are they like this karma guy, this POS client, or is it, the ones that are like, very, very appreciative, very supportive? And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying that a client should understand when you disengage with them. I'm not saying that they should be excited about being disengaged with you,
Right.
but I also don't expect that kind of reaction from someone that I'd like to work with. They might say something like, well, that sucks. And I really enjoyed working with you. I'm sorry we have to break up, but that's stupid. But to go to that level, like there was a system that allowed a client like that to be in the firm.
Yep.
And to me, that's where I got to going on this, just to say, okay, what kind of clients is our business model intended to attract? What kind of experience are we trying to create for our clients, whether we keep them or disengage with them someday? But what kind of model do we have? And do we even know it? Like that's to me why it's so important to sit down first and just draw out what that is, because I think that's going to be interesting for a lot of people because they've never done that. That hasn't gotten attention since the organization started, probably.
Or ever, other than
Right.
I want to provide a service and get paid and get as many clients as possible.
Right.
Right.
Which happens quicker for CPAs than most
Mm-hmm.
because they're in such high demand. Because there's people out there like my client's ex client who's really pissed off right now and looking to change providers and quick.
Right.
So, I think a lot of accounting firms, small and big, at one point started with just basically a shingle.
Mm-hmm.
And that shingle went up and it said, we're open for business. Neighbors found out, the community found out, friends of friends, family of family. It just started to kind of grow. And that was it. That was the business model. Put up a shingle. So that's great. Creating that reality for what the business model currently is a step in this process. But the next one is, what's the better mousetrap? What's the better business model? And one way to determine what could be better is just by looking at how the current model is serving you.
Right.
And most likely you're overworked. You have too many clients. You're not charging enough. You're not seen in your community the way you'd like. You're not home as often as you'd like. Your vacations are spent too long on the phones. You skip national holidays in springtime or wintertime because you don't have time to take that day off. Meanwhile, the banks are closed and your kids are home. You maybe have gained some weight or lost some weight, depending on how stress affects you and what you do with what you put in your mouth, yada, yada, yada. So that's what the business model is likely producing. And so what could be better? Well, all of that, right? Like every bit of it. And so what does the business model look like to create less of that? Sorry, once again, this is Doug with the Practicing Accountant podcast to interrupt your episode of this podcast with some news. Please check us out at www.thepracticingaccountant.com to learn more about us and what we do, specifically group coaching and training for accountants like yourself looking to grow and thrive in your accounting practice. Now, I'll let you get back to the episode. And I think it's a lot of what you and I have talked about over the last few months. It's about being intentional first and foremost. It's about managing the people pleaser. It's about being selective in the client experiences that we create and who we create them with. It's about managing the time and the efficiency and the effectiveness of our work. It's about being confident to say no to opportunities that come before us and not saying yes just because they're available. A lot of those things get intertwined into that business model, but there's actually structure there. Like if a client calls or prospect calls, what is the process? Is it just yep, we are open and bring your stuff over and we'll set you up on the portal?
Right.
Or is it we actually have an onboarding process and we look through these three factors to make sure you're a good fit? Call it fee, call it niche, call it gut feeling. And then we have an interview with you and we get your stuff and look at last year. And then we propose a fee that you'll pay on a monthly basis for us for the year. And we don't take clients under $7,500 and whatever, right?
Yep.
Like that's the opportunity in this better mousetrap is first having a better client onboarding system is part of that model. And I think that is a key to having a better experience with the firm.
Right. And I think the term, defining your business model or creating a new business model, that's pretty daunting. I think you can easily separate it into business processes. So you have your client acquisition. Let's figure out a model for that. What does that look like? You have your onboarding process. What's the model for that? You have your service, how you deliver the tax return. What's your model for that? And then those combined is your business model. But work on each segment, and you have to go into it with a vision of the outcome to work on each segment. You don't want just a hodgepodge of different areas in your company that are working together, but you can tackle little pieces of the business one at a time.
Well, I think you can definitely go down a long path of frustration and over defining the business model.
Mm-hmm.
Like my 83-page coaching business model. That was a CPA trying to create a coaching business. That's what that looks like. So I'm not saying we need 83 pages of content. What are like the big buckets though? Like clients, that's a big bucket. What kind of clients we want to work with? Services is a big bucket. What kind of services do we want to provide? More importantly, what services don't we want to provide?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this overarching experience that you want to have with the business that should be part of the model. Is it on 24 hours a day? Is it set time between hours of the day? Is it open in the summertime? That's one of my favorite ones. And it still bugs the shit out of me that CPAs don't do this more often. And it's easier for guys on the audit side than the tax side, but still possible on both sides. Why in the hell do CPAs work June, July? Like those months should just shut down for all CPAs.
Agreed.
Now I hear some voices in my background saying, well, there's a couple of deadlines in there. Well, don't do those clients.
Right.
Well, there's people we have to pay, and we'll send them home too. Well, they're not going to take no pay. We'll prorate it over 10 months instead of 12. Well, there's still work to be had. And right there I go, there. That's the problem. You don't have to do work just because it's available.
Mm.
You don't have to do clients just because they call.
Yep.
Like you don't have to say yes just because it's available. Like we could literally, like it always pissed me off when I was at the firm. Like we did benefit plan audits in the summertime. And really what it did is helped with cash flow. It provided us with additional income to pay our bills during the summer months, and they were slow. And we'd work, 30 hours, tops in some weeks during the summertime. And it was spent doing these stupid benefit plan audits. I say stupid, not because the plans were dumb or the companies that had the plans were dumb, but because there's a thing called a limited and a full scope audit in benefit plans. And a limited scope audit basically meant you looked at it and then you signed a piece of paper. Like there was nothing to it. And we'd lose our ass on the job because no benefit plan in its right mind would pay, 15, 20 grand for a benefit plan audit. They're looking for 5 to 7,500, sometimes 10, depending on the size and complexity, sometimes more if it's a huge company, but the realization still always sucked. So they weren't profitable. And then we'd have an excuse like we're doing this work because we have a bigger relationship and we want to make sure we're doing that so no one else does it. My point is, if you build a business with a model and a structure that allows you to take 2 months off out of every year, you can do it.
Right.
It just takes intention. You have to know when a client comes in and they say, well, I've got a lot of work for you to do in June or July. You go, whoa, let me stop you right there. I'm not here in June and July. I'm on a boat in Florida, fishing, getting sun, and drinking margaritas. You're not going to find me during June and July. Oh, but can't you just do 1 And you go, no, fuck you. I'm not doing that work because this is the model I built for the experience I want with my business, and I'm sticking to it.
Right.
I feel like I'm ranting now, but
no, you're good. You're good. I think, what a great time that CPAs can take to work on their business. Actually,
oh, sure.
I mean, you don't have to go to the beach the whole time, but you can for a week and then work on your business and make next season even easier. I don't understand the reluctance to stay at the office and act busy. Like we talked about, busy is that badge of honor that people just need to get past. And like it's wild to me.
I was told when I started coaching by a wise individual, she said, it might not be a bad idea to structure your business so that you work 3 weeks and then you take the 4th week off and do that every month. And then sometimes you'll have to make up the difference, but 3 weeks on, 1 week off. I remember hearing that being like, well, easy for you to say, right? Like, you don't have the pressures I do. You don't have the family I do. You don't have the bills to pay that I do. I'm on all the time, and that's all there is to it. Well, about 6 months ago, I noticed something. I've been doing that. And not necessarily because I blocked my calendar for a week every month, but because there was always something every month where I had to basically take a week off, like Thanksgiving, like Christmas, like, some vacation in June or July, like that trip with the dudes to the mountains in August, like spring break in March. Like, I started looking, I was like, holy crap, like I basically am 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Nice. And if I actually like use that now and like made it more intentional, I can actually get more out of it than I am. Right. So part of my, goal this year is really to introduce a more formal business model on the 3 weeks on, 1 week off for myself, so that I can, I don't know, enjoy life, work on the business, go on a hike, go to the mountains, whatever. That's something you can do with your business model. All right, I'll shut up now.
You're good.
Got that off my chest. I got to read this one more time. This is just too much to. I can't even handle it. I think I may have shut it down. Hang on, I'll find it. One more time.
POS.
You truly are a POS. You get paid, then make some BS excuse. F you blank. I hope you rot in hell, and karma will come for you and your family. POS! Exclamation points.
Have you ever heard? I think it's awful, but I have a buddy who's still in the dating world. There's a Facebook group called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" or something like that, and girls will go on there and post a picture of a guy, and just to make sure no one else in that group is dating that guy. Anyway, we need something like that for shitty clients.
Right?
If you fired this client,
right.
Because I want to know that guy's name so that I don't
totally.
You don't.
Yeah, right. Like if your phone rings in the next couple of days, you'd be like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm also not saying that you can necessarily tell that a prospect is this kind of person on the front end. Like, I'm sure they're super nice when they're getting what they want, and
there were signs into
this, but there had to have been. Like, this couldn't have been the first time you're like, "Ooh, I don't know if this is good." Like, this couldn't have been like, "Oh my!" I mean, there's a reason why they got disengaged, right? There had to have been some signs of this to get disengaged to begin with. Okay, enough of that. I'm done.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. We'll see you.
Cheers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. We hope that afterwards you recognize the importance of building an intentional business model in your firm, and not just what you inherited or what you thought it always was supposed to be, but something that you wanted to be, and to be deliberate about client selection, service offerings, and the overall structure of your firm. Please share and like this episode, and please visit us at www.thepracticingaccountant.com. Thank you very much for watching.